Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to So You Think You're Iconic, the
Yes.
movie podcast, where we have a doozy of a movie this week.
Yes. And you know what? If you don't come back the next week for another episode, I 100%
I
understand
understand.
because I had to take breaks watching this movie.
It was only an hour and 20 minutes, and it felt
Yeah.
like it went on for like 4 hours.
Yeah. Because I swear I don't know. I was taking notes and I felt like I was 30 minutes in. I check, I'm 11 minutes in, and I'm like, oh no. Also, we found this movie from a TikTok that I saw, and I thought it was so ridiculous. So I sent it to Jordan.
The movie was way more ridiculous than the TikTok made it seem.
Yeah. We saw 2 scenes, and we thought, oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
What did I text you? Immediately, like halfway through the not even halfway. I think I was like 5 minutes into the movie, and I was like, and I texted Kelley, I just started it, and it's already ridiculous.
Yep. Yep.
Goodness. Okay. How was your week?
It was okay. I got stood up for an interview.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened.
Yes.
Fine.
It was a terrible day because, they emailed me on Monday and they're like, hey, we're doing interviews on Wednesday. Is that okay with you? And I'm like, yes. Yeah, I'm good for Wednesday. Just, tell me what time. And they never got back. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Ooh, you want to put the company on blast?
I am not going to put the company on blast. And then I emailed them Tuesday, and I'm just like, hey, so still haven't gotten the time yet. Don't know if you still want to interview me. And so I did not get any sleep that night because I was thinking, like, what if I get a random email at like 8 a.m. and they're like, hey, interview in an hour. So I got up early and I like did my makeup and everything, and then I just spent all day waiting. And it's a lot worse than being stood up on a date because, whatever. It's a guy. Who cares? But getting stood up by a potential job, that hurts a lot more. Because I'd be needing that money. I'd be needing that job. So, yeah, that was bad. So the next day I just started to apply to more jobs, and I have another interview. This one is legit. This one's legit. It's in person.
Cool.
I show up and then, like, no one comes for... the whole day.
During this entire pandemic, I've only had one in-person interview.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
was
it?
my week. That was my week.
I had a doozy of a week. My week has been full of interviews and applying to jobs.
Yeah.
What day was it? It was the same day you got stood up. What day was that? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
I had 2 interviews in one day. I was a ball of stress the entire day.
Yeah, we love this cycle that we put ourselves in.
And then, so for one of the companies, they didn't go forward with me. I had to wait days to find out, and I was stressed out the entire time. And like literally when I got the email saying I wasn't going forward, that was the biggest relief of my entire life. I was like, well, at least I'm not stressed about it anymore. I was okay. But I just got an email today. I'm going forward with the other company.
Yay!
She asked for when I'm available, and I was literally like, anytime.
Yeah, that's what I tell them all the time whenever they like email me or call me, and they're like, so when you want to set up an interview, I literally be like, next week, anytime.
Anytime.
And then there's always like a little silence, and then they're like, okay, does this day work for you at this time? I'm like, yeah. Like, you don't understand how free I am.
And then I have a interview on Monday, but that's only a temporary job, so I hope this other job goes through so that I have a full-time job. Yes. So yeah. Also on Thursday, Sabrina and I went to the beach for like 20 minutes.
Oh, what?
20 minutes.
What happened?
It was a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. The wind was blowing at like 30 miles an hour.
Oh.
We were being pelted by sand.
Oh no. That sucks.
So yeah, we drove like an hour and a half out there to that beach. The water was crystal clear, but it was freezing because California. And so yeah, we went hiking after that. We were like, well, can't do this anymore. So we went
Yeah.
hiking. We went to Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. Let's
And
go.
then we went to Krispy Kreme and got our free vaccine donuts.
Oh yeah. Let's go.
I'm trying to see if she wants to go to the beach next week because it's supposed to be hotter, even hotter
Yeah,
next
it's
week,
supposed to be in the
like in the
80s here
80s.
this week. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to be as windy. She has not.
Yeah, I
She
know.
has not replied yet. So TBD.
I'm here for this weather though.
Oh my gosh,
I'm so
yes.
here for it.
The sun touching my skin yesterday felt so nice.
I know. I think I spent all day out there.
It's been a rough winter though. Like it was only 74 degrees and I was sweating. So I don't know how I'm going to survive this summer.
Right. My body's like, the temp has risen too high.
Right.
Too soon.
It's like, excuse me, sir. You used to go to school in San Francisco where
Right.
if it was 60 degrees and sunny, everyone would be laying down on the quad. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll adjust. I'll be fine.
Yeah. And then when it hits the hundreds later, I'll still be dying, but that's okay.
Mhm. It's fine. My aunt has a pool. I'll be fine.
Yeah. You suck.
Yeah, hoping to go there next week. So I think it's time.
Is it?
To talk about Killer Sofa. Why was it called Killer Sofa? It was not a sofa.
Maybe it had a better ring than Killer Recliner.
Yeah, it was a recliner, not a sofa.
Yes, it's a recliner. And I was unaware, but there is a sequel-ish. I guess there's a series. There's another movie that I don't know if we will be doing. I don't know if I can handle it.
Series?
Yeah. The next one is Killer Piñata.
Oh. I told you about Killer Piñata. It's a part of a series. I thought it was a completely different movie.
No. I'm
just gonna say it now. This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Worst
100%.
Worst movie we will probably ever do on this podcast. Worst movie.
Yeah. I'll tell you some of the info on the movie later. And I don't know if it deserves the Rotten Tomatoes score it has, but
if it's a 0, that's too high.
Okay. Let's get into Killer Sofa. So we start the movie and we see a guy trying to summon something. It's very unclear. His hand is bleeding. He's got candles out and there's a picture of a girl in front of him and that's where his blood is landing on. At the same time, it shows a man that is about to be cut up while
like Dexter style.
Yeah. There's a chair kind of off in the corner.
Yeah, the exposed chair in this kill room.
Yeah, where everything there's plastic tarps everywhere. The only thing that's not covered is this chair.
Is a picture of the girl and a chair.
And a chair, yes. And so there is the same picture of the girl from the first guy and a bunch of candles around it. We then switch to 2 girls and a guy opening up like a storage box. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But it was it looked like a storage container, but then they walked in there and there were hallways and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, how they opened it, it looked like a storage container and then they walked in and then they kept walking in.
Yeah, so kept walking in.
Oh, this is not a storage container, or I don't know what this is.
This is obviously a room you filmed this in.
Yeah. Yeah. So the group goes into the storage box container. One girl looks around and finds a recliner that is chained up with a note on it that says, delivered to Francesca.
You skipped. You skipped. First off, they walk in there and they're like, "Ew, it smells disgusting in here."
Yeah.
And then so they start looking around. One of the girls touches a skull that has blood on it. Like, and
no reaction from her either.
No reaction at all.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's like a light in there, but it's like a red light.
Oh, there's so much use of red light in this movie.
There's so much use of red light in this movie. There are only two. There's only three lighting like spectrums in this movie. It's daytime, nighttime, and red light.
Red light.
That is literally it.
Oh, don't forget spotlights. Lots of spotlights.
Yes, spotlight. Yes. We then switch to a girl who's doing some kind of interpretive dance.
Okay. When she was like first dancing, I was like, oh, so she's an exotic dancer. No, she was just randomly dancing in like this club while like a band was playing in the background. Yeah,
so did I. I thought like we were just gonna see some like nightlife and whatever, but no. Like the camera pans back. They're in some like little it's like a theater because there's like theater seating. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, what kind of show are they putting on? Anyway. After the dance, two homicide inspectors, their names are Bob Gravy and Roseanne Grape.
Yes.
Yes, you heard me correctly.
Inspector Gravy and Inspector Grape. Their boss is Captain Crunch.
Yeah. I literally... Like, I couldn't really hear them for some reason, so I had what they call it, subtitles on, and I didn't know her last name was Grape until like near the end when she answered the phone and was like Inspector Grape, and I'm like, I screamed because I'm like, there is no way we have a Bob Gravy and a Roseanne Grape.
When I heard those names, I was like, oh, this is a comedy movie because like it has to be a comedy. I was very wrong. Yeah. I mean, there are some comedic moments that have to be comedic moments because they're so ridiculous.
Yeah, but if they're not, then I...
Yeah, but overall, it didn't commit enough to be a comedy movie.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Like, when I first started, I was like, oh, we're getting some Ginger Dead Man here. No, it's not
just a higher quality.
It's not as funny as Ginger Dead Man.
It really isn't. It's not as funny as Ginger Dead Man or The Leprechaun. And
somehow Ginger Dead Man had a better storytelling device. Like, it did it better. Like, it explained stuff better.
It really did. It really did, because it was kind of cut and dry, right? Like, there's a murder at the beginning, and then, you know,
the girl survives, and he's pissed.
Yeah. And then comes back.
Yeah.
You know, it makes sense when you think about it. But
this movie, I literally, at some points, I was so confused. I did not know what was happening. At the end of this, I'm just going to tell you now, at the end of this movie, I still don't understand what happened.
Yeah, me neither. Also, the moment I heard, like, Bob Gravy and, like, later on, Roseanne Grape, I was like, oh, so this is a very low-budget movie.
Very low budget. Like, they couldn't even come up with regular last names for these people.
Right. Like, we needed that little extra something for last names, please.
Yeah.
So these two inspectors come up to Francesca and Maxie, who, like, we don't learn the main character's name is Francesca until, like, midway through the movie.
Halfway through the movie.
Yeah, because the inspectors come up and they're like, I want to ask you some questions. They don't even say, are you Francesca?
Yeah, I had to look up her name while I was watching the movie because I was like, she's obviously the lead and they're not saying her name.
Yeah, like there was no intro to her at all. So they asked them questions about a man named Federico Olsen, who was brutally murdered. It turns out that Francesca knows this Federico Olsen because they were friends. Maybe more than friends. It wasn't clear.
It's not clear.
Yeah.
All we know is that he was obsessed with her, like every guy she ever meets, except for her boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, like every man she's ever been with is obsessed with her, except for TJ because they think he's
Except
gay.
for her current boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the reason why she's dating him, I'll tell y'all later. But like the reason she's dating him, I'm like, honey, your standards are just they're just below the ground.
On the floor.
Yeah, literally these men can't even yeah. Anyway, Francesca had a restraining order out on Federico, and Maxie never liked him. And that's basically all we find out, other than that Federico was murdered and chopped up. The girls have to leave, saying that a piece of furniture is being delivered to Francesca, and that they have to get it. The detectives let them go, but they're still interested in Francesca. So we go back to the group that went into like the storage container, and they are moving the recliner from its chained up position.
Yeah.
And one of the girls, she puts her, I don't know where she puts her hand, but she gets her hand stuck.
She puts her hand, like when the recliner like opens and closes, you know how there's like that little gap in between.
She put it there.
For some dumb reason, put her hand in between that gap.
Yeah, so she puts her hand in between the gap, and then immediately her hand is being squashed between like two mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
So like they have to stop, and the girl gets her hand out, and her reaction, and like if you look at her hand, it looks like her fingers were about to be like taken off.
Yeah.
Because the cut is that deep.
It looks like her fingers were barely holding on.
Yeah.
Like a couple of tendons were out.
Yeah, and she's literally just looking at her hand, just like.
And then the guy's
honey.
like, go to the hospital. She's
like,
okay.
Yeah, and she just stands there still until one of the other girls is like, okay, let's go. And like she escorts her out of the container. I'm like, girl, this acting.
Yes, the acting.
So good.
Where are the Oscars?
So the two girls leave to get the injured girl help while the other guy continues to move the chair out. The guy then goes into a shop saying that he's got a delivery for Francesca, but the man that's working, that owns the shop, says that he doesn't know anybody named Francesca, but is it for his granddaughter named Maxie? He then goes out to check on the recliner, and he has this weird like sensation with it, and is like drawn towards it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. His name is Jack. I called him Santa in my notes.
I called him Granddad the whole time. I didn't know his name was Jack until the end.
He looks like Santa.
He does.
So he touches the chair and he has like this orgasmic vision.
Yeah. So he touches he's drawn to the chair, and then he sees a note on it that says for Francesca, and there's blood on it, and he's like, yo, there's blood on this, what the heck is going on?
Right, and the guy's all like, well, like, my friend got hurt, and I'm like, okay, but like, why are you giving me this blood-soaking couch?
Right. Like, he wasn't even gonna like offer that information up if Jack didn't ask.
Yeah.
He would have been like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just here to deliver it.
It's fine. There's no such thing as bloodborne illnesses. Like, it's fine.
Of course not. So Jack touches the chair, and he has, like, flashbacks. He's, like, goes into this weird trance or whatever. And he sees a girl running through the forest, and he's running from somebody. But then he is brought back by the delivery guy giving him CPR. Apparently he's been on the ground. Yeah, he's kind of just, like...
He was barely pushing. and then Jack literally stands up. He's like, I'm fine. Like, nothing happened.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, I'm cool. And the delivery guy's like, oh, cool. Nice. You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave the chair. I'm going to take the chair.
Yeah.
I'm like, bye.
So Francesca and Maxie show up at Francesca's place to see her boyfriend, whose name is TJ. And who she says she's dating because he's not clingy.
I mean, he's not.
He's not. He really isn't.
He really isn't.
But people do not date another person just because their one quality is that they're not clingy. Like, that ain't it. So TJ's out there with the recliner waiting for her. TJ then moves the recliner into the house, and we see Francesca taking some pills in the kitchen, which, by the way, we never talk about.
Wait.
So don't ask.
I mean, we kind of talk about it, but we don't know what these pills are. We never learn what these pills are.
Yeah, like they keep showing us like the label and what it says on it, but basically just as like her name and like how many times they take the pills, and we're all like, what is this? Like we can guess.
At one point of the movie, I think it's Grape, Inspector Grape.
Yes.
She's like, what are these pills for? And she never tells her.
Yeah, and they never bring it up ever again.
No.
Like later on after. There are a lot of loose strings in the story.
A lot of loose
strings. Yes. We see TJ noticed that Francesca's upset, and she says it's because of Federico's murder. And when she tries to get him to stay for the night, he says no, because he's going out with his buddies for his friend's bachelor party, because he's getting married the next day. We then go to Maxie and her granddad and his girlfriend that I never knew. Yes.
Look, that woman was the pinnacle of a magical Negro character. Like,
yes.
She was
100%.
literally just there to help him with his magic, Dabook, whatever. That's it. Like, she didn't have anything to say about anything.
Yeah.
We don't even know her name.
Yeah, we know her name.
What is her name?
Ashanti.
What did they say her name?
They never do, but because I had the subtitles on, it would say who was speaking. So Ashanti always came up, and when I checked later for the character name.
Okay, yeah. If you don't know what a magical Negro character is, look it up, because that's exactly what Ashanti was.
Also, I'm sure you've seen it before in movies, but you just never knew.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
This is what it is.
Yeah. So Maxie notices that her granddad is distracted, but he won't tell her what's happened. And we see that he's looking at pages on something that's called the Dabook. He brings it up to Ashanti, and he says that he was in this trance from the chair, and he says that he saw a girl running through a forest. And Ashanti says that this proves that he has his father's gift. This is one of those strings that we will never also know.
What this gift is, we will literally never find out.
Yeah. The only thing that we hear from Jack's dad is that he is not a rabbi. And I don't know what that has to do with his powers or whatever. Also, is being a rabbi a power?
Apparently. Being Jewish is a power.
Okay.
Also, how is his father alive? Jack looks like he's like 70 years old.
Yeah.
How is his father alive?
It's his rabbi powers.
Rabbi powers unite.
They keep him young and youthful.
They have like those little rings that they had in SpongeBob between Barnacle Boy and whatever the other guy's name is.
Yes.
They touch them and they live forever. Like
yes. So we are back with Francesca, and she has just finished taking a shower, and she hears sounds in her house, but she doesn't pay them any attention. And then when she is about to leave the shower, this is like the only jump scare that gets me, and I would have decked Maxie.
Something got you? Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it turns out to be Maxie right outside of her shower in a clown mask. And I would have decked her.
Yeah, she immediately would have been punched. Immediately would have been punched. And I wouldn't even say sorry after.
I wouldn't.
Because you deserved it.
Yeah. I would have been like, what the hell are you doing in my house with a freaking mask right outside the shower?
Right. Be lucky we weren't in the kitchen. I would have stabbed you.
Right. Francesca is a little upset about it, but she says that the strange noises and the feeling that she got wasn't from Maxie being in the house. It's from something else. So Maxie's there to keep Francesca company, and they watch a movie. Maxie says,
on Francesca's computer.
yes, on her computer.
This movie couldn't even afford to bring in a TV for one scene.
Yeah.
They used a laptop.
Yeah. Low budget, y'all.
Low budget.
Right, like they couldn't even borrow somebody's TV. Even like, hey, you know, like couple hours.
They literally
and then I'll give it back.
They film in 3 houses and they couldn't find a TV.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So Maxie says that they might have to close down her granddad's store, and that even though she's working like multiple jobs, that, you know, they won't be able to keep it afloat. I don't know why that information was put in this movie.
Yeah, it never comes up again.
Yeah, it never comes up again. Francesca then tells Maxie that she should focus on her music because that's what she's passionate about. Later that night, Maxie leaves and tells Francesca that whatever happened to Federico wasn't her fault. Maxie then walks to her car and she can see Francesca through a window.
Oh.
And also, y'all, this is the scene that we saw from TikTok.
The funniest scene. No, this was not the funniest scene in the movie.
No, it's not the funniest scene.
But
it's one of the funny scenes.
I screamed.
Also, if you live in a apartment that you can totally see somebody's body from their bedroom window,
get
from
some
the street,
blinds, please.
Get some blinds. Get some like curtains or something, or just don't buy that apartment.
Yeah,
that's
you need
creepy.
to do something. That's weird. You're a woman who lives alone.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And people on the street can see you in your room.
Yeah, like full body shot too. It's not even like just like head up or something. It was a full body shot.
Full body.
It was really creepy. So Maxie looks at Francesca through the window and then looks towards the other window in her apartment and sees the recliner staring at her.
Okay. There's multiple reasons why it's funny. First off, how does it stand up? We later find out at the end of the movie how it stands up, and
but it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So she has like a balcony over this window he's looking out of.
Yes.
And it covers up like the bottom half of the window. Mm-hmm. And whenever you see the chair in the room, he's like lower than the balcony.
Yes.
So how was he able to look out the window? Like, it made no sense to me. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, what is going on here? And then Maxie sees the recliner like facing towards her. And then it's gone the next second and she's like, okay.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything. Like, she gets distracted by, like, dogs barking, so she, like, looks behind her, and then she looks back up at the window. The recliner is gone.
Oh, my gosh. Dogs bark. There's so many dogs barking in this movie.
There really is.
At one point, I was like, are those my dogs, or are these... Like, why is there so much random dog barking in this movie?
Also, for those of you who don't want to watch Killer Sofa...
Oh, yeah, I tried to get Sabrina to watch it. She was like, oh, just listen to the episode.
The recliner has buttons. Has buttons in the middle of it. Like, it looks like 3 sections. So it's like in the middle section, and it looks like the bottom half looks like maybe a mouse. And so that's how it looks like it's looking at you. Through the buttons on the recliner.
Terrifying. The first thing I would do if I even took that recliner would be to take those buttons out.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Also, deep clean it because you don't know where it came from.
You got this random sofa and you just put it in your house and then just started laying on it. Yeah.
Especially like what happens next. That was so uncomfortable.
I wanted to text you so bad. I wanted to text you so bad.
Okay.
I wanted to warn you, but I was like, we have to keep it. We have to keep it like mysterious.
We have to keep it mysterious and then genuine when we talk to each other on this thing. So, Maxie leaves, and we then see Francesca going to sit on her recliner and makes herself tea. She brings her teacup and the pot with her, which is strange.
Yeah.
And she makes her tea. She puts the pot down. She turns on some music, and then it gets weird. And when I say it gets weird, 100% gets weird.
Oh, it gets absolutely bonkers.
So in the audio description, it said moody music was playing, and that's the only way I can describe it. And she kind of gropes the arm of the chair until she finally finds the lever to make it recline. So she reclines, and then the red light, one of the 3 light settings, the red light comes on, and she just like rides on the recliner and like feels it up.
Yeah, she just rubs the recliner. Look at the name I put. Kelley. Look at my name. Tell the people what my name is.
What?
Look at my name.
Where? What?
The name.
No, stop it. That's gross.
Tell them what it says, Kelley.
That's literally what I was thinking the whole time of the scene. He changed his Zoom name to Francesca's Orgasm because that's literally what was happening.
Okay, but like, let's talk about it. Like, let's deep dive.
Do we have to talk about it?
Let's deep dive.
Okay.
What woman lays on what looked like a lazy boy recliner and starts like sensually rubbing it? Oh, and then this is where another red light came.
Yes. And it made it that much weirder. And she's just writhing on it and just continues to feel up.
And what was so funny was it looked like she was climaxing, but she was not touching herself at all.
Yeah.
She was only touching the chair.
She looked like she was really into it. And at one point I was like, I wonder if this chair is going to make some kind of noise. Because that would just... that'd be the cherry on top. And I would just exit out of this movie. And
then she's like covered in this red light. Like she's in some sort of like burlesque act in like a seedy Taiwanese strip show or something.
Yeah, and she's wearing this like red chemise like thing, silky thing. And I'm like,
and she just keeps like throwing her hair back, and I'm like, what's happening here? It's never explained what happened.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want it explained.
No, let's not.
Yeah, let's not. So after that weird thing going on with Francesca in the recliner, she wakes up in her bed, and because she's like heard some noise, and there's still some noises going on coming from the living room, and so she goes out into to like look, and there's the figure of the girl from the forest that Jack saw behind the recliner, and then it disappears. We then learn through a video that like Jack is watching that the book is a spirit that feeds on the living. You should never touch it because if you do, it creates a connection for it to take over you. And I love that they say this. You'll get strange health problems if you touch it.
But what really got me was this random man who we don't know who he is. He is like explaining the book, whatever. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, you can get health problems. But then he also makes it seem like it's optional.
Yeah.
He's like, so yeah, be careful if you choose to interact with the book because you'll get health problems. I'm like, who chooses this? Yeah. And Jack also didn't seem to choose it.
Yeah. And all of the health problems, it's heartburn, hives, coughing up blood, welts, headaches, and chest pain.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
A headache, I would cut off my own arm not to have a headache. I hate headaches.
Yeah. I get migraines every once in a while. Well, like kind of like frequently. Like every month I probably have like one or two.
The absolute
and
worst.
I literally want to just like carve, like just chop the top of my head off, because I cannot handle it.
Yeah.
And I can feel it coming, and I take stuff, and it's still like, it sucks. It's the worst.
Oh, that feeds into my theory that like Advil and Tylenol are placebos. But you know, that's a theory for a later day.
That's a different podcast we'll start later.
Different podcast, drugs and hugs.
Also, it only seems like Jack gets like one of these symptoms, one of these health problems.
Heartburn.
And it looks like heartburn or like some kind of chest pain.
Like he has like angina or something.
Yeah, because like whenever it happens, it looks like he's out of breath and he's a lot of pain, but he keeps clutching at his chest.
Then he just pops the Advil and he's fine.
And then he's fine. So that's what we learned from the video. We then go to the next day. Francesca hears some more noises in her house, and honestly, at this point, there are so many noises happening in this girl's house. Why hasn't she like thoroughly checked her house for whatever is making the noise?
Look, I am a little neurotic. Okay, I like to say I am a B+ type of person.
Yeah.
If I notice sounds in my house, something is not where I left it, I freak out.
Yeah, exactly.
All this strange stuff is happening in this girl's house, and she just doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, she doesn't question it at all. Like, I think at first, because I'm not like an A- B+ kind of type person, like you are, I feel like it would give me a day. And then the next day I would have woke up and been totally irritated and been like, what the hell is making that noise?
I'm so perceptive. I can tell if someone's tone has changed when I'm speaking to them. So no, I immediately would be like, what's going on here? There's some bad energy happening here. I'm going to go get me some, what is it called?
Sage?
Yes, I'm going to go get me some sage.
You're going to go smudge and get all the bad juju out?
Well, we're going to sage this. I'm going to go to the local Catholic church, get some holy water, spray it all over the place.
You can make holy water at home.
Doesn't it need to be blessed by like a priest or something?
I don't know, but apparently you can make holy water at home.
I'm pretty sure it needs to be blessed. If you're just making it yourself, that's not holy water.
I have no idea. I've been to Catholic church a handful of times. Still don't know what's going on. The music's cool and so is the aesthetic, but that's about it.
Anytime I've ever been inside of a Catholic church, it was like on a school trip. Never actually.
So Francesca kind of checks out what the noises are in her house, and she opens her bedroom door to find a line of candles that leads from her door to the recliner that has 2 plates on it, one with cookies and a flower, and the other one with some more cookies and a mug of tea on it.
Tea?
It looked like tea.
It was black. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. She sees all of this laid out for her on the recliner. And then we see that TJ has come into the house, and she assumes that it was him that made all of this for her.
Even though he obviously just got home.
Yeah. He just got home. He's in his tux. He's all ruffled, whatever.
Yeah, he's still wearing the clothes from the wedding.
Yeah. So TJ asks, she's super like excited that he made this for her, and she's like, "Can I make you something?" And she makes him cereal.
Cereal.
She makes him cereal.
He's like, "Thank you so much for cooking for me. Let me make you something special." Proceeds to make him a bowl of cereal.
Yeah, and she looks so proud of herself too when she hands it over to him. Like, honey.
It's times like this when I think this movie is a comedy, but it's so ridiculous. But it's not.
It really isn't. So TJ asks about her night, and while she's telling him, he takes one of the cookies from the recliner and he eats it. And then when he goes to grab another one, the chair has moved out of the way.
Yeah, it didn't make a single
sound. He doesn't question it.
But any other time you're in this movie when the chair moves, it's loud as hell.
Yeah, there's a creaking noise. There's this whole like sliding against wood. It's ridiculous. You can hear him coming a mile away.
Also, how did this chair make cookies?
Yeah. How did it not make any noise making tea or coffee, getting cookies out of, whatever package, or if he made them himself, some plates. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we go to the police station and we see Inspector Gravy looking through evidence photos. We see some cult stuff. There's a voodoo doll of Francesca. The girls are then called back and are interviewed by the inspectors, and they ask if they knew about Federico's interest in the occult. And she says she doesn't know, but he was always into weird things anyway, so she wasn't surprised. They then ask...
It was during this scene that I realized that Grape always had this, like, dumb look on her face. Like, she was partly confused and, like, partly annoyed. Like, half confused, half annoyed.
Yeah.
The entire time you saw her, she had that same look on her face.
Yeah, 100%.
The only way I could, like, describe it well would be, like, if there was, like, a 2-year-old sitting on the floor and you handed them a Rubik's Cube and then, like, when you dropped it, it hit their foot, and so now they're mad and they're confused.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way I can...
Yeah, they're confused about the situation, but they don't know a lot of what's going on, so they're angry about it.
Yeah.
That is literally her the whole time. They then ask if Francesca's been feeling okay, and then she says that she is. They don't mention that there's voodoo dolls about her, which...
No. They're like, you feeling okay, sweetie?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah. And they're like, cool, go home.
Right. they literally show, because Inspector Bob Gravy is still looking through the photos during the interview, and we see a voodoo doll with a pin right through the middle of it, and they're like, are you feeling okay? Like, any health problems? She's like, I'm just fine. They're like, okay, great. Let's not tell her there's a voodoo doll.
Yeah.
They then bring up the restraining order that she had on Federico, and then they ask about any of the previous men that she has been with and ask if they were ever violent. And she says, yes, I guess. And the inspector's reactions are exactly what they should have been.
They're like, what are you talking about? I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, they're like, it's either violence or it's not. And then when she said yes, and Francesca's like, yeah, but like in the bedroom and whatever, they get like violent. And Grape's like, that's still violence, right? And Francesca's like keeps like blowing it off, and they're like, they just got angry and whatever. And like, real talk,
who other than serial killers gets angry while they're having sex? Right.
Unless it's consented upon from both parties.
Even if it's consenting, there should be no anger involved.
Yeah, there should be no anger involved.
No anger.
Yeah, there should be no intent to actually hurt, That's
one kink I will shame. There should be no... there are a couple, actually, but there should be no anger.
But, yeah, any violence, no. It's a no. It's a no on so many levels.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, it's the violence for me.
It's the violence for me.
They ask if Francesca has ever reported any of the violence, and she says no. And that she's always had this...
Of course she hasn't reported it. She didn't even think it was weird.
Yeah, like, a homegirl just needs some therapy and some time alone.
Yes.
She needs to be single for a long time, figure herself out. She then says that she's always had this weird effect on men, and they always become obsessed with her, other than TJ.
Other than TJ. It doesn't work on gay men.
It does not. We then see TJ back at Francesca's house, and he's baking something while the recliner looks on. And I mean that literally. The recliner is just watching him do it. He creeps up on TJ, and then with the oven door still down, the recliner comes up behind TJ, sticks out his little feet thing for the recliner, and like stabs him and just applies pressure until his legs break against the oven door.
Yeah. And then there's like a nail that they show, but it's like super underneath the thing, so I don't understand how it would have been able to stab him.
Yeah, I have no idea. Also, how much pressure and how strong is this recliner?
Actually,
Because that's a thick bone down there.
It's very strong because it's able to like lift bodies and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, both of his legs are broken.
Yeah.
Francesca,
but he still walks on them at one point.
Yeah, he walks on them at one point, and he's like out of the hospital.
Yeah, like immediately after.
Yeah. So Francesca gets a call mid-interview from TJ, how he's still conscious and able to think straight, I don't know. And she races home with the inspectors. TJ is then found in a tub in the bathroom, and Inspector Bob checks out the kitchen where there's smoke coming out of the oven, and he looks at the recliner kind of like suspiciously, but he doesn't do anything about it. Maxie's granddad at his shop then calls his father and tells him about the book. Jack tells his dad that he has his gift, but his dad says that he isn't ready to deal with it and that he should leave it to people who know what they are doing, and he should have listened.
But then the dad never comes to help.
And the dad never comes out, and people who should know how to deal with it show up either.
Yeah, no one shows up to help.
No. So later that night, Francesca is on a Skype call with Maxie while she cleans up the mess from earlier when TJ was. There's blood everywhere. I don't know why. Francesca tells Maxie that TJ is at his mom's house, and he told her that he thinks the recliner is possessed. We then go to TJ's mom's house, and he tries to call for his mom to get more water so he can take some like pain pills, but she can't hear him because she's got headphones on and she's meditating or whatever.
She's literally sitting on the floor with her laptop next to her with headphones in her ears.
Yeah. And he's screaming for her and she's not hearing him.
Right? How loud does she have whatever's playing?
Right.
Because he's literally screaming, "Mom."
Right. Like, are those noise canceling headphones? Like, really nice noise canceling headphones?
They must be. That's where all the money went for this movie.
Yeah, it really did.
They spent it on the headphones. Also, why was the water so far away from him?
Yeah. Also, like, as a mother whose son just breaks both of his legs, wouldn't you be hovering?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, never leaving his, like, the bedside? Because that man literally can't move anywhere without you. So you put everything within reach.
Yeah.
If you're not there. And the water is literally on a windowsill across the room. So TJ gets up and limps to get some water. While he's up there getting his water for his pills, he hears a tapping on the window, and you see a spring.
A spring.
Tap on the window. And he opens up the window to look outside, and he sees the recliner out on the sidewalk.
Okay, this was the most ridiculous part of the entire movie.
Yeah.
The recliner's on the sidewalk. He pulls down the window, and 2 seconds later, the recliner is at the second floor.
Yeah. So he sees the recliner and goes to close the window, but it stops when a spring from the recliner stops it. It then gets in, and it's a regular-sized window.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow this recliner fits through
this window.
It's through this window. Gets in and stabs TJ in the foot. And then we go to Maxie's granddad, Jack, and he's watching another video on the book, and it says that the book must feed on the souls of its victim to become stronger. We then flash back to TJ, and it looks like his soul is leaving him through some... I don't know how to describe it.
This made no sense. Because literally, somehow, the recliner went back to Francesca's house.
Yeah.
And then started, like, sucking the soul out of him. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's confusing.
It's very confusing.
And the way his soul leaves, it's like electric currents and, like, blue and red, like, colors and whatever coming from him.
And he seemed to be alive while this was happening.
Yeah.
But we later learned, like, his skull was crushed in.
Yeah.
So when did that happen?
When did that happen? We don't know.
Yeah.
We have no idea. There's a lot of things that are Not explained. So we then see the soul of TJ leave the body and go to the recliner at Francesca's house. We then see Ashanti and Jack do a ritual to like get him back in like the trance that he had with the recliner. And he shows up back in the forest with the girl. He follows her and watches as she runs into another woman, takes the knife from her bread basket, and kills herself. Jack is then brought back to his body, and he tells Ashanti that the woman from the forest poisoned somebody, and that's why she was being chased. Ashanti says that they have to find the owner of the recliner quickly so that they can get the book out of it. And they decide that they'll do that tomorrow. They then go back to Francesca, and she is asleep on the recliner when she's awakened by a zap of electricity, and then she sees a rag on the floor. So she goes to investigate, and when she gets closer, a light shines from her bathroom, and we see a shadow of somebody in there. But when she checks, there's nobody there. And when she turns around, it looks like there's somebody there, but she then wakes up in her bed again. She hears, it's the middle of the night, and she hears noises, and only now does she feel like, it looks like she's scared, so she grabs a flashlight from her bedside table.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And goes to investigate.
So, she goes, like, tiptoeing to, like, quietly investigate what's going on. But tell me why she takes the world's largest flashlight to go investigate.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to, like, sneak up on whatever noise you're hearing, and you take the world's biggest flashlight.
It looks like one of those, like, security, like, thick.
Yeah.
Like, it's as long as your arm. It's thick. It's got that huge bulb on it.
Yeah.
That's literally the flashlight that she has.
Like, I'm sure as soon as she turned it on in her bedroom, whoever would have been in her house would have seen it.
Right. They would have seen the sun shining from behind her bedroom door.
And like, oh, let's get out of here.
Yeah, that's our sign to leave. So she goes to investigate in the living room, and she sees the recliner move toward her, and she screams. We then see Maxie getting a call from Francesca, and she races over to see Francesca sitting outside of her house. Maxie comforts her, and she says that they have to go in and check on the recliner.
Oh, but you missed a part.
Oh, what did I?
A part that made absolutely no sense.
What?
So, Maxie was like, why didn't you go over to TJ's house?
Oh,
and she was like, oh, no one answered. So I assumed that the recliner killed both TJ and his mom.
Yeah.
No. His mom is very much alive.
And
so she's either lying about going to TJ's house.
Right.
Or TJ's mom is like deaf.
Yeah. She's still watching that YouTube video. Yeah. At full volume with her noise canceling.
Full volume.
So Maxie and Francesca go into the house one more time and sees that nothing is wrong, but takes Francesca home with her anyway.
Nothing is wrong except the chair was not where it was when she left the house.
Yeah.
It was slightly more forward. I told you I'm neurotic. I notice everything.
Maxie wouldn't have noticed that, though.
No.
Or it's the bad writing, and she didn't notice on purpose.
Yeah.
So the next day at TJ's house, his mom is vacuuming, and she goes to clean TJ's room, and she, like, opens the door and then, like, puts the vacuum in there and walks away while it's still on. And then she hears some, like, chunks getting vacuumed up. And so she goes and unplugs it. And when she turns around, you can see the inside of the vacuum, and it's pieces of human flesh and an eyeball.
Yeah. She somehow, when she opened the door and put the vacuum in, didn't notice that she put it on top of her son's head.
Yeah. And was just sucking up his dead body.
Yeah.
Anyway, we see Francesca is back at her house. Why she wanted to go back after she was so freaked out the night before. I don't know. And she checks out the recliner, but then gets a text from Inspector Gravy saying that she needs to meet him at the station. When she leaves, she runs into Ralph, who is an ex-boyfriend that we don't find out until later.
Is he?
Yeah.
This entire time I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because he introduces himself by coming up and like proposing marriage. I was confused. I was like, who is this guy?
They explain it when they're at the station in the next scene.
Do they? Was I really that checked out?
Maybe.
Because he came in and I was like, whoa, marriage.
Yeah, and babies.
Babies?
Yeah. He's like, so are you ready to marry me yet? And she's like, absolutely not. And he's all like, he says some other stuff, and he's like, but we'd like make some strong babies. And I'm like, what?
Right? He was like, I have strong bones.
Yeah,
TJ doesn't have strong bones like I do. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. What kind of reasoning is going on here?
Who wrote this script?
Right. Also, Francesca, why did you ever date this man?
Why?
Francesca is not convinced by anything that Ralph is saying, so she leaves. Ralph then breaks into her house. We are then at the station when Inspector Gravy calls Maxie to come down to the station so that she can support Francesca. He then tells Francesca, Inspector Gravy, that TJ is dead and that he left her a message. That is such a reach, because on his cheek is a very clear FR on his cheek, and they're like, he was trying to spell Francesca out on his face. Do you know how long Francesca is? And if 2 letters are taking up his whole cheek, he was not trying to write Francesca.
Not gonna work.
No, that was a very large reach, and you didn't grab at anything.
And if I'm being murdered, I'm not writing my girlfriend's name on my face.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll write the name of the murderer on my face.
The inspector then says that the deaths of Federico and TJ could be linked, and that the long list of X's that she gave to the inspectors that we never saw happen.
Yeah, that never happened.
Yeah, it could be the murderer. So the inspector asks Francesca who she thinks could be capable of murder, and her and Maxie both agree that it could be Ralph, Maxie's cousin.
Yeah.
Maxie, if you knew Ralph could be capable of murder, why did you let him anywhere near your best friend?
Exactly. And why didn't you mention this earlier?
Right. Maxie's not a good friend. Ralph is then added to the murder board along with a second guy whose fingerprints are found at the first murder. We then go back to see Ralph is still in Francesca's house, and he's installing cameras, what looks like installing cameras around her apartment, while the recliner watches him. He then...
No, I'm not ready.
Yeah, I am not either.
As soon as I saw him put down the bra, I knew what was happening.
I didn't want to accept what was going to happen. I was literally like, this isn't happening. And then he started, saying what he was saying. And then I was like, no. Mm-mm.
I saw him put down the bra, and then I saw the shape of the hat, and I was like, Ralph, no. I was like, please don't do this.
Yeah. So, okay. So Ralph is still looking around the apartment and hears noises in the living room from Francesca's bedroom, but he doesn't go out and look. He grabs a hat and one of Francesca's bras and lays them out on her bed. He then crawls underneath the covers. I can't. And before he does anything, we see the recliner standing up,
in the back.
lean into the bedroom. And I honestly had to pause at this moment because I was dying because it looks so funny.
I literally wrote in my notes, what is happening? There was so much happening at once. There was too many senses going on. I was confused.
Yeah. It was information and sensory overload.
Overload.
I don't think my brain accepted what was going on. I don't want to accept what actually happened.
No.
But we will tell you anyway. So the recliner leans in to Francesca's bedroom and sneaks up to Ralph, who is
having his way with a hat and a bra.
Yes, while making the most unconvincing noises.
Oh yeah. The noises were egregious. I was like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what kind of fantasy was going on there, if he was murdering her or what, but it just did not sound right.
Also, we need to go back. We need to go back a little bit.
Okay.
So, when Ralph was first in there after, like, he used the bathroom, and then he started, messing with the cameras, the lighting was so bad. It was so bad. So, they had to have been using spotlights in the middle of the day. Who knows why? Because in the room there were two sections that were brighter than the rest of the room.
Yeah.
The recliner and then a random corner.
Yeah. They're like, we need some more lighting in here, but we only have 2 lights. We got to do what we can.
We have to do what we can. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, don't do the extra lighting then.
Yeah.
This looks way worse.
Yes. So
this entire sequence broke me.
Yes. So the recliner sneaks up on Ralph. He grabs a iron that's in Francesca's room and kills Ralph with the iron. That sounds like a clue, kind of like answer. The recliner in Francesca's bedroom with an iron.
The recliner in Francesca's bedroom with an iron.
Yeah.
You got it.
We got it.
Let's play again.
Let's play.
Resets the board.
We should have reset the movie.
Oh, yes.
We then see Maxie's granddad and Ashanti calling moving companies and find that a recliner has been delivered to a Francesca. And literally, Jack could not connect the dots.
At all.
First
off,
how do you not know your granddaughter's best friend?
Yeah, plus he somehow ended up with the recliner at the beginning of the movie, and they were like, it's for Francesca.
Francesca saw the note that said deliver to Francesca and did not make the connection. Like, what is going on here?
We need your help. Alzheimer's is a very deadly disease. Please donate now.
Donate now. And if you donate now, you get a free tote bag.
In the shape of a brain.
No. It's a regular tote bag, and it said you helped, and then there's a keychain of a brain that goes right on it, or a pin. Yeah. So Jack does not make the connection at all, but Ashanti does, and she's like, "That's Maxie's friend."
Yeah, thank God for Ashanti.
Yeah, and Jack's insistent. She's like, "No, her best friend's name's Patricia," and I'm like, "Bruh, you do not know your granddaughter." And later on, when Maxie disappears and he doesn't question it.
Oh, I literally wrote that in my notes.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Anyway,
Jack calls Maxie And they're like, hey, we need to get in touch with your friend. But he can't get in touch with either of them, so he just leaves Maxie a message. We then see that Maxie and Francesca are at a motel because Maxie doesn't want her staying in her house while there is a killer on the loose. Maxie then gives Francesca some of her clothes and her laptop and leaves them with Francesca. But Francesca stops her when she goes to leave and says that she needs to go back to the house to check on the recliner. And she's really insistent about it. So Maxie's like, okay, I'll go check on the recliner if it makes you feel any better. At the station, Inspector Gravy is watching Federico's posts on his like occult blog when Inspector Grape comes in and tries to send him home because he needs to see his wife. And
oh my gosh, yes, I literally wrote down the exact minute. We were 46 minutes and 55 seconds into this movie, and then they add a "my wife left me and took my children" storyline.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was the part where I yelled at the TV. I literally looked at the TV and went, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, that was not needed.
It was not needed, and it's never brought up again.
Yeah.
His family's never brought up again.
It's like Jack's store going under and Maxie being like, we have to let go of the store. It's literally that. They said it just to say it.
But worse, because at least we go to the store every now and then. We never hear or see about his family ever again.
Yeah. So there is literally no reason to be bringing this up.
There's like 30 minutes left in the movie. There was no reason for you to do this.
Yeah. So after he tells Grape this, she tries to invite him back to her place to blow off some steam, drink some wine, whatever. But he says no.
The way she was speaking made it sound like she wanted to have sex with him.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But she kept bringing up blowing off some steam. And I was like, if you want to have sex with him, just tell him.
Right. Is there something else you would like to blow? Just
tell him.
Just say it.
Yeah, just be like, hey, come to my house. We'll drink some wine.
Mm-hmm.
I have some condoms. Whatever happens can happen.
Right. We won't let this affect us professionally.
No. Unless it was
your wife and kids left you, so what's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just being a friend.
Yeah.
So,
a good friend.
A very good friend. Oh my goodness, I'm so sore. Can you please massage me?
Stop. Grape then notices in one of Federico's videos that there is a recliner behind Federico in one of the videos, and that it's the same kind of recliner that Francesca has, and that's literally what she says. And she doesn't make the connection until Gravy does, and he races off. We then see Jack and Ashanti tell Maxie that Francesca's recliner is possessed, and she believes them, saying that Francesca hasn't been the same since she got it. Jack says that he has to go there and deal with the recliner, but Maxie says she'll do it herself. Maxie shows up at Francesca's to get the recliner, and when she enters, she looks to her left through Francesca's bedroom door to the balcony that's connected and sees Ralph's dead body. So she sees him and then sees the body being dragged off. So she creeps up to the balcony and sees the recliner dump the body off the balcony.
Yeah, this recliner is able to carry like 160-pound men.
Yeah, and push them off a balcony.
And then somehow their body gets covered with a tarp.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
We're not. She then tries to back up and get away from the recliner, but steps on a clothing pin. And the sound is so quiet.
So quiet, I barely heard it.
But they act like a bomb has gone off. And it alerts the recliner that she's there, and it chases her. Maxie then hides in the bathroom.
No. Mm-mm. No, you skipped something, Kelly.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
What happened?
She goes to run towards like the front door
Uh-huh.
or something. Somehow the recliner closes that door.
Oh, yeah.
The door that is ahead of her, and he
Yeah.
is behind her.
I was confused about that 'cause, like, it's really dark in the scene, and then you see, like, the recliner, and then you see, like, the bottom of a door close.
It's really dark until one point of the scene, and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The scene where she tries to jump out the window,
Yeah.
she is so brightly lit.
Yeah, it's daytime.
It's like daytime. Yeah.
This is happening in the middle of the night, by the way. So Maxie is in the bathroom, and so she goes towards the window and sees that as her only escape. And she looks back at the door, and we see that through one of the missing screws on the door handle, the recliner is watching her.
Yes. And he stays watching her for like a good 5 minutes.
And he stays watching her. And Maxie sees the window as her only means of escape, so she jumps through it and lands into the garbage can. And at this point, I thought she was dead.
No, it didn't make any sense to me. Because she fell feet first. And then she somehow ended up feet upward.
Yeah, like folded in half, kind of. We then see the recliner go to the sink. And everybody listening, you have to stay with me on this one.
You just reminded I just remembered that you said she went to a hotel. I thought she went to the apartment next door. Now this is even more ridiculous.
Yeah, because you see the sign of the motel. It's a green sign, and it says something motel. And so
that makes this even more ridiculous.
Yes. So stay with me, everybody. The recliner starts making noises at the sink drain. And then we go to Francesca at the motel. And she starts hearing some noises, and she goes to investigate and ends up in the kitchen. And then finds that the noise is coming from her sink, specifically from the drain. And she goes toward it, and at the same time we see the recliner at her place, and it's saying the name Valerie.
I thought it was saying I love you.
No, it's saying Valerie.
Okay.
This is why you needed a subtitle.
Wait, who's Valerie?
Oh man, this whole end of the movie is gonna shock you if you don't know who Valerie is.
Let me look at my notes. Everything I put in one ear and out the other. Oh, I remember who Valerie is. Never mind. Okay,
yes. He's saying the name Valerie, and somehow it's traveling from her house drain to the motel drain.
Mm-hmm.
And Francesca is then brought back to her senses when she is scared by Inspector Gravy and Grape, who have entered her motel because they saw that the door was open.
Yeah.
No.
I guess that's probable cause. I guess.
Yeah. And Francesca's freaked out, and she's holding her bottle of pills. Roseanne, Inspector Grape notices the pills and takes it from her and asks how long that she's been on them. And Francesca says that she's been on them for a long time. We then drop the subject of the pills.
Yep, never brought up again.
And never brought up again. And Francesca tells them that she's worried about Maxie and that she went to her house and they have to go check on her to see if she's okay.
It's been 2 hours.
Yeah. So at Francesca's house, they don't see Maxie anywhere, but Francesca finds her keys on the ground. So Francesca calls Maxie, and they show her phone getting the phone call, and you see her foot, and then you see hair, and you see a bunch of blood, and I assumed she was dead.
Because, she was dead.
Yeah, she was 100% dead.
Like
she's folded like that.
Like her foot was so stuck up, I thought she was already in rigor mortis.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like somebody folded her and shoved her into the trash can. They then hear the phone ringing from outside, and the inspectors open up her balcony and look, and they don't see anything, so they go outside to investigate. They then find Ralph's dead body underneath a tarp. And they don't find Maxie.
No.
They find Ralph's dead body.
Even though she's very close.
Yeah, she's like a foot away.
and her foot is sticking out.
Yeah, and her foot is sticking out.
Oh my gosh. One of the funniest lines that Grape says in this entire movie. Is at this point. I literally wrote it down.
Okay.
But can you please explain to me how one human could look at another human and say, "This is bad gravy," with a straight face? It's like, "This is bad gravy." And I was like, you can say that without laughing?
Right. Like was this a one take?
Right.
Because
this had to have been like 12 takes.
Right. I wouldn't have been able to been like in that situation. They're like, "This is bad gravy."
This is really bad gravy.
Francesca is freaked out to find Ralph's dead body, and then hears the name Valerie being called again, and she turns around and sees that the recliner is speaking to her. She then runs from the house, and when she looks back and looks up into her window, she sees a man and the recliner looking at her through the window. She is further freaked out and takes Maxie's car and leaves. Francesca then ends up at the coast, and it's morning time.
Completely different clothes.
Yeah. And she looks like she's going to jump from the cliff.
Yeah.
To just end it all, I guess, when she gets a call from Jack, Maxie's granddad, saying that he needs to talk to her. Francesca is then with Jack that night, and he has a paper with the book description out, some candles, a ram's horn, and tea set out for them. She then asks if he thinks Maxie's okay, and he says,
she's fine.
Yeah, he's like, she's strong, she'll be okay. He doesn't even wonder where she is.
No, if I went missing and my grandfather acted like this, if I was dead, I would haunt him. Like, how dismissive was Jack?
Very.
He literally did not give two fucks about Maxie. Mm-mm. He was like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, who? My granddaughter who? She's probably fine. I don't.
She probably thought her name wasn't even Maxie, since he thought that Francesca's name was Patrice or whatever.
Yeah.
He was probably like, no, my granddaughter's name is Lauren. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like, I have a granddaughter named Lauren. I don't know who you're talking about.
Who is Maxie? Like the pad? Like, what are you talking about?
So, while they're talking, Francesca admits to seeing dead people and hearing the name Valerie. Jack then remembers something and shows Francesca the story of Valerie and Gerard Colette. They were a French couple who were into witchcraft and were demonic soul eaters. That is never explained.
No.
That used highly toxic petals of a plant called Cerium oleander to poison their victims. And when the town found out, they burned Gerard at the stake, and then Valerie committed suicide in front of a woman named Marie. And this is where the whole connection comes in. Marie...
It does not.
They tried to. They really tried.
They really tried, but then they screwed themselves.
Yeah, it's that meme where it's like, I've made a connection, and it's like, you haven't connected shit.
Yeah.
So Marie turns out to be Francesca's great-grandmother.
Mm-hmm. The math ain't mathing right, but...
The math, make it make sense.
Keep going. Her grandmother that died in 1876?
Yeah.
The math ain't mathing right.
Mm-mm. And her grandmother was said to have suffered hallucinations and claimed that she was possessed by Valerie's spirit. After that, while Marie was still alive, men of the village were obsessed with her, and some even fought to the death for her. So she went to live in a convent till she died.
Yes. Did you hear that? She was in a convent. She was a nun.
She was a nun.
So how was she having children? Exactly.
Make it make sense.
Exactly.
So the obsessiveness that she garnered from men came from Valerie and Gerard's ability to make people around them obsessively devoted to them. And Francesca's ability to do the same comes from Valerie's spirit that dwells in her, that apparently travels through generations, because apparently the books can travel through multiple generations. And Gerard is stuck in a recliner and wants to be near her again.
Yeah. So I think this happens later, but eventually they find the guy who like cut up Frederico.
Yes.
And they're like, hey. He's like, hey, Frederico is not dead. But then I'm like, okay, but I'm like, so his whole plan was to go into the sofa, right? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Literally, because we learn later that if you kill someone, you can jump into their body.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just kill a random man, go into their body, and then go like hook up with Francesca? Or when you killed TJ, you could have went into his body.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of it is making sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it was already confusing without the occult stuff, and then they threw the occult stuff in, and then it never made sense.
It made it worse.
Like you could kind of grasp what was going on at the beginning without the occult stuff, and then you just add it, and you're like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
what's going
the
on
more
here.
they tried to explain the book lore, the worse the lore got. It was just like, please stop, you're making it worse.
So Frederico's occult doings opened some kind of portal, and you have to stick with me with this because it does not make sense.
Does not.
Just take what I say at face value. His occult doings opened a portal that put Gerard into the recliner. But Jack says that the book has to have a human body connected to it. So there's the mystery of how this recliner is possessed.
Yeah.
Jack then has a plan to get rid of the books, and it is to make 2 book boxes.
Do we know what the book boxes are? Do we know how they work?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. And we are never told on how to get rid of them. Like, you know how they have the videos on like all of the book information? This is the one part where they don't use the video.
Yeah.
They just use Jack's information.
That he just learned like probably 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is literally me, like, you know, in high school when I was like, I didn't get something, so then I watched a bunch of videos online, and then I acted like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, Khan Academy.
Yeah, Khan Academy, that is it. This is it. He watched 3 like 5-minute videos and thought he was an expert.
Yeah. He was like, I think I saw something about the book boxes. Yeah. Do I know how they work? Absolutely not, but let's make them anyway.
Yeah, like any old box will do, right?
Any box will do.
Yeah.
You just have to make a box, it traps the spirit, and then you burn it. Like, it's that easy.
Yeah, it's that easy. Ask me how to move the spirit from the body into the box. I have no idea, but we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
So he says once you put the spirits into the box, then you have to burn them, and then that's the end of it. Jack then makes 1 box. One. Mm-hmm. And stares at his father's photo from across the room. We then see Inspector Gravy
doing push-ups in a muscle
out.
shirt for no reason.
Yeah. When he gets a text from this is the point when I found out that the Inspector Roseanne's last name was Grape, because he gets a text from Grape and it just says Grape at the top, and I literally in my notes on all caps, I'm like, her last name is Grape?
This was when I realized that Inspector Gravy looks like the dad from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
He kind of does.
He does.
He kind of does. I hope it's not the same person.
I really hope it's not the same person.
Ooh. The text from Grape says that they have their next suspect at the station. And he goes back to working out. And he's working out to a picture of Francesca. The same picture of Francesca that was used at both of the, like, the occult rituals, whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, he's probably obsessed with her.
Yeah.
We then see Grape looking at a picture of Francesca. No, not Francesca. What did I write down?
I don't know what you wrote down.
Oh, no. Okay, Grape is in. We then flash to Grape, who's in her car about to go to Ralph's apartment and like check it out, and she's looking at a picture of Gravy, and it looks like she's super concerned for him, or that she's just like checking him out. I don't know.
I told you she's in love with him. that whole you need to relax thing was symbolic.
Yes, it was. So we then see Francesca with Jack, and she goes into some kind of trance or whatever. She hears Jack blowing on his horn. We hear some chanting in the background. She then sees the recliner and goes towards it, and then we see the spirit of like Valerie kind of like take over her. She then gets out of her trance and sees Jack in pain, and he gestures at the table, and she's all like, "Oh my gosh, I understand." And she grabs.
No, he didn't just gesture. He's also like laborly saying pills.
Yeah, and she just doesn't connect the dots
at all.
And
like
she
he's grabbing his chest, and he's like,
yeah,
pills.
Yeah.
And she's like, the box got
it. Yeah. She's all like, I understand. She grabs the book box and says she's going to get help, which she never does, by the way.
No one really helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Ashanti comes in like a second later,
mm-hmm.
and he's still reaching for these pills.
For his pills, yeah.
And then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to call the police or something. Yeah. And then she like turns away from him while he's still trying to grab these pills.
No one gives him his pills. It's hilarious. So, Ashanti finds him and calls for help while Francesca goes and gets a gas can for the fire that she's going to start. We then see
this box that she does not know how to use.
Yes. And okay. So Inspector Gravy is interrogating a man named Warren who has confessed to cutting off Frederico's legs. We then get like a back and forth between this scene and Francesca going to her house. And so she needs to go to her house to the recliner. We then go to back to the interrogation, and Warren says that he did it and it was legal because he has a contract signed by Frederico saying that he wouldn't be held accountable.
Yeah.
But Gravy says that won't hold up.
Because it won't.
It won't.
Just because someone gives you
permission
to do something illegal doesn't make it
not
okay.
Make it right. Yeah.
So
right.
I have to ask you a question.
Yes.
If some random person came up to you and was like, hey, can you cut off my legs because I urgently need you to do it? And they're like, oh, no, it's fine. Here's a useless ass contract. You just sign this and everything's good. Would you do it?
Absolutely not.
Right, because you have a working brain cell.
Right.
This man had no thoughts at all. He was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah. He might have thought about it for like a split second and then was like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Absolutely fine.
And then when he did it, when we saw at the beginning of the movie, he didn't even give that man any drugs or anything.
Yeah.
He just used lawn tools to cut off his legs.
And here's the kicker, y'all. He is a veterinarian.
Yes.
He does not know the human body.
No.
So why he thought he was qualified and he's using like some quality, like garden shed quality, like What is it called?
Like wood chipper thingy? Not a wood chipper.
It's not a saw. It's a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used that to cut his legs off. Like, where was the logic?
Yeah, and then he was like, no, he was fine. Like,
yeah.
He was like, I like bandaged him up afterwards. And I'm like, but you don't know how the human body works.
Yeah, so you're just slapping a Band-Aid on a big wound and being like, you're fine.
Yeah, you didn't do any x-rays. You didn't.
Mm-mm.
Like, he probably died because he probably caught an infection from you using lawn tools to cut off his body parts. Or
he just bled out to death because did he cauterize any of the bleeding or anything? Did he try and stop it other than with gauze? Like, I'm not a doctor either, but, like, even I know that's wrong.
Right, I could have done a better job than that. I would have at least used some sterile tools to cut off.
Right, I've gotten up to season 4 or 5 of Grey's Anatomy. I know how this goes.
I'm at season 157. I'm a doctor at this point.
I'm a doctor at this point.
Scalpel.
Please.
Book me an OR.
Doctor, he's dropping.
He's going into cardiac tamponade. I need my OR.
I'm dead. So, Gravy says that the contract that Warren has will not hold up, and says that Warren can tell him, because it just won't.
It won't.
Tells him where the body is, he'll cut him a deal. We then see Inspector Griff at Ralph's.
I'm sorry. He'll cut him a deal.
I think you did that on purpose.
This movie broke me. I'm so sorry. That should not have been funny.
Inspector Grape is at Ralph's place and sees that he has been spying on Francesca through cameras that he has hidden throughout her apartment. Back at the interrogation, Warren says that Federico was desperate to get his legs off, and that's why he did it. Still shouldn't have done it. Grape then finds the cameras that have been recording Francesca and all the recordings of it, and apparently he's been recording her for months.
Yeah.
And in one of the recordings, she sees the recliner moving and, like, following Francesca, and she races off to Francesca's house. Francesca shows up at her own house and goes up to the recliner and puts the box in front of it, opens it, and demands Gerard's spirit into the box.
Yeah.
But he won't. And there's this weird, like, the recliner pushes the box back toward her, and she pushes the box back towards him.
There's a lot of this.
There is a lot of this. It's a very long scene.
For a good, 5 to 10 minutes, there's a lot of this.
And also, my favorite scene is about to come up. She douses herself and the recliner.
Yeah, I was
gasoline.
very confused when she put herself in gasoline.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, she literally was basically on top of the recliner and just, pouring the gasoline. It's getting all over her, all on the recliner. Why didn't you just, do it like a normal person, just pour it on him? Don't know. But here comes my favorite part. She then goes and finds a bunch of matches, and she lights one, and she holds it out as like a dare to the recliner, and she's like, I'm about to drop this. And then he just blows it out.
He's 20 feet away from her, and he just blows it out.
And what makes it better is that you can hear it. You can hear the recliner go. There's no other music. There's no other sounds. Just her striking up matches, and this goes on for a good 2 minutes.
She does 5 matches.
Yeah, she keeps striking matches, and then you hear a from the recliner.
And then after 5, she stops, even though there was 50 matches in that.
Yeah,
thing.
She finally she gets upset. Girl, why didn't you just turn around, light the match, and then throw it? Or why didn't you strike it and then drop it immediately? What is going on here?
She was literally right next to a stove. She could have caught something on fire and threw it at him.
Right. So Francesca gets upset that she can't start the fire and pulls out a knife, which makes the recliner stand up and go towards her. Yes, you heard me right. The recliner stands up.
Fear-inducing.
Yes.
Fear. It was horrifying.
Yes.
Do you know what it looked like? Have you ever been to
Hmm.
Legoland?
Yes.
So you know how like the Lego like people that you can like take pictures with? It
Hmm.
was it was shaped exactly like that.
Yes. Yes. Like without the arms, that's it.
Yes. It was
That is the recliner standing
it's
up.
like they went to Legoland New Zealand, if that's a thing. They
Yeah.
they took one of the costumes, tore the arms off and like painted it brown and then like made like a makeshift little moving mouth
Stuck
and
some buttons on
it
it.
slapped some buttons on it and we're like, there you go.
That's our villain.
That's our villain.
So we then go back to Warren, and he's telling the inspector that Federico wanted his legs cut off so he could fit into a recliner. You heard
That
me correctly.
makes no sense, but yeah.
No sense. So Francesca, back at the house, has a standoff with the recliner when Inspector Grady comes in and shoots the recliner. Which reveals Federico's body.
But it's like faceless.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Francesca then freaks out and then goes into the bathroom to get her pills, but she spills them. And when Grape goes to see if she's okay, we see Valerie's spirit kind of behind her.
In the mirror. Yeah.
We then see the same, like, I don't want to call it animation, but that's the only word that's coming to my head. The same, like, animation that we saw when TJ's spirit left his body and went into the recliner.
Special effects? I'm saying this with quotation marks.
Special effects, yes.
Special effects?
We see the same thing happen to Francesca. And then when Grape goes to check on Francesca, she opens the door, and Francesca's there. And she says that she is okay. Maxie, who we thought was dead, wakes up and gets out of the garbage can with a huge chunk of glass coming out of her skull.
That she keeps there.
That she keeps there.
For a very long time.
Yeah, which I will say is keeping her probably alive.
Yeah.
But why all these people let them pass, each other and not notice a huge stick of glass coming out of her? Been like, you need medical help.
Yeah. Like
there's a
two
bunch
cops that see her and they're like,
yeah,
who cares? Are you okay, Francesca?
Right. Nobody asks Maxie if she's okay. She gets out of the garbage can and walks up to the inside of Francesca's house, and Francesca sees her and like hugs her, and she says that she's okay and that everything is over now. But we see a reflection of Francesca and Maxie in a mirror that's on the floor.
Yeah, and some random mirror on the floor in her living room.
Yeah, she never had a mirror in there before, by the way. We see the reflection of Francesca, and we see something not right with it. I assume some time has passed, and Inspector Gravy is at Francesca's house, and comments on her keeping the recliner.
Yeah, that was weird. I would have been like, why did you keep... I also would have been like, why did you keep that recliner?
Also, wouldn't that have been evidence because the dead body was in there?
Yeah.
Anyway.
How she was able to even stay in that house.
Yeah.
Like multiple dead bodies were in there. Like that would have been a crime scene for weeks. Like somebody died in your bed. Yeah. And then a serial killer was living in your sofa. Mhm. You had Maxie's dead body in your garbage can, Ralph's body underneath a tarp in your backyard. Yeah. Crawling with evidence. Evidence up the wazoo. Francesca says that she has decided to stop running away. Gravy comments on the strange tea that he is drinking, and we see that Francesca has made a serious style change and offers more tea to Gravy, which he accepts. Mm-hmm. Great. Tea that's 90% flour. Mm-hmm. Grape, who is at the police station, answers a call from
Gravy's desk from the coroner saying that the date of death for Federico is wrong. And it wasn't a few days ago, like Grape says, but from decomp that the body has been dead for weeks. We then see Jack in the hospital.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. With Ashanti doing something.
Her magical Negro stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
We see Maxie in bandages looking at the book info. She's watching another one of the videos that Jack was watching, and it says that the book will use human dead bodies as a place to store souls. And then when the body becomes unusable, it transfers to an object before the perfect body is found. Back at Francesca's place, we see Gravy commenting on her transformation. Before we look at the teacup and notice that it's the same kind of tea that Valerie and Gerard used to poison people, and Gravy is dead.
Yeah.
Grape shows up to Francesca's house, and we see Gravy start to be possessed by the recliner, and Grape goes to leave because there is no response, but the door opens and she goes up and sees the last of the soul transfer between Gravy and the recliner. She's then stabbed by Francesca in the back, who is actually Valerie. She has possessed her body. And then she is killed by Gravy by snapping her neck. Maxie sees all this after pulling up to the house.
Because, those pesky windows, and she still does not have any blinds on.
She sees the murder of Grape and watches Gerard and Valerie, who are in Francesca and Gravy, leave the apartment. Maxie then goes up to the apartment, and she, like, the way she checks for a pulse on Grape, she literally just puts her hand on her neck twice and was like, oh,
dead.
She's dead. And then calls for an ambulance. She then looks back at the recliner and notices that it's still alive because its mouth starts to move. And when Maxie gets close enough to look at it, she can see Francesca's soul falling through
it's giving
the eye.
It's giving Get Out, the sunken place, like that.
Yeah. So we see Francesca's soul caught in the recliner, and that's where the movie ends.
You want to know what my last bullet is?
What?
It's literally wow with 4 exclamation points.
I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit you with the 2 movie facts that I found on this.
For once, I'm not happy about these.
Well, 3. One's information. The Killer Sofa got a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is way too high.
It's way too high.
Like I said at the beginning, a 0% would be too high. What movie did we watch that was okay and had 2%?
If I remember correctly, it was Practical Magic. Practical Magic got a low score. I think it was in the 20s.
No, I swear we watched one that was 2%. Was it The Roommate? Let me see.
It might have been The Roommate.
The Roommate was bad. The
Roommate was bad.
But it was much better than this.
But better than Killer Sofa.
I would rather watch that movie every single day.
Yes.
It was The Roommate, 3%.
It was The Roommate? Oh, yeah. This is so much better than The Roommate. So much better.
This movie makes The Roommate look like an Oscar-worthy film.
It really does, though. It really does. I will also tell you guys that there is no Wikipedia for this movie, and there is a Wikipedia page for everything.
Yeah.
There's no Wikipedia page for Killer Sofa. And when I looked up movie facts for Killer Sofa, all I got were reviews. That's literally it. So this movie fact I found was from IMDb, and it was the only movie fact there. So the cost of the recliner that they used in this movie was $100 New Zealand. I don't know what their actual currency name is, which is around $64 American.
That makes sense.
It showed.
It showed.
And then the last movie fact that was provided by Jordan himself, because I was not willing to watch all of the credits, was that the actress who played Francesca choreoed the dance that she did at the beginning.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, but it shows.
It shows.
It shows. So I'm going to ask you the most important question of this episode.
Okay.
Iconic or not?
Oh, this movie is so... I'm kidding. No. This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Something finally beat Cool World and Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah.
This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes.
Almost nothing was explained.
Mm-hmm.
And then the things that were explained made no sense.
Yeah.
The acting was awful. The lighting was awful.
Mm-hmm.
The chair looked awful.
I just want to know how they did the whole chair thing. I want to know.
I want to know, how could someone who had no legs stand up in the chair?
In a chair, right.
It made no
right.
sense. Yeah. Everything about this movie is awful.
Yeah.
I want no one involved with this movie to ever work again. I mean it. Down to the PA that just took out the trash. I want no one involved with this movie to ever work again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Sorry, New Zealand.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry that this is the first movie that we see from you, New Zealand.
Yeah. Do better, please.
Yes. Because I will never get that hour and 20 something minutes back.
Oh, never.
And I said that as a joke in Cool World and stuff like that, but I mean it this time.
Yeah.
This was terrible.
I literally turned on my TV and watched whatever was on just to get this out of my mind.
Because anything was better.
I watched Godzilla. I watched Godzilla.
Ooh, this movie has changed us. Not for the better.
Yes, I watched Godzilla, the one that had Scarlet Witch and her brother Mary.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really strange when you think about it.
Yes. And didn't those movies come out the same year? This movie and Age of Ultron, did they come out the same year?
I think they came out a few years apart, but it was close enough that it was weird.
Yeah. So
yeah.
No. Do not.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch it.
And this is not, and we're not saying this is bad iconic either.
No, it's just bad.
It's just bad.
Maybe if they threw some more comedy in there, maybe.
At least with Leprechaun, there were all the modes of transportation that literally killed me.
Yes.
And the ending line
joke.
that killed me. And the jokes. You could tell this was more comedy than it should have been. And that's what saved it. There were only
same with Ginger Dead Man.
Same with Ginger Dead Man. This movie, though, had 2 scenes that I'm sure was supposed to be serious. But I just could not keep it together because I thought it was so funny.
It's so ridiculous.
I'm sorry. This is not even bad iconic. It's just not.
Good job, New Zealand. You made the worst movie on earth.
Yeah. And people, that is not a challenge to send us worst movies from around the world.
Please.
That is not a challenge. That is not what our email and our DMs are for.
If it's worse than this, I may never be able to finish it.
That will be the last episode we do on
That will be the last episode.
Because, this...
No.
Sorry.
No me gusta.
Yeah, no me gusta.
No me gusta.
So, any recommendations this week?
I have a lot.
Ooh, okay.
My first one It's a show I just started watching last night. It's called Invincible. It's on Amazon Prime. It's like a adult animated show about this kid who like gets superpowers in this world where like super powered people are like normal.
Mm.
And so he's trying to navigate being a teenager, a superhero. His dad is like the most powerful superhero on earth, and he has like all the same powers as his dad.
Oh.
It's great. It kind of like parallels Justice League. Like all of like the people have like similar powers to people on the Justice League.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the dad is obviously Superman.
Oh.
And then they had a guy who had no powers but like had all this tech, and I was like, that's obviously
That's
Batman. And then they had a woman who was like a mix of Hawk Girl and Wonder Woman, and I was like, come on guys. We could do some original people. And then they have a girl who's like on like their Teen Titans team, who's like a mix between like Starfire and Scarlet Witch, and I was just like, come on guys. Those aren't even the same universe. Like, can we do something? Yeah, it's a good show. It's very gory.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's a scene where this guy literally gets his head smashed and his eye pops out of his head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Let's go to the next recommendation.
Let's go on the next one.
My next one is Échame la Culpa by Luis Fonsi and Demi Lovato.
Okay.
It is the song that should have blown up like Despacito did. The song is better than Despacito. Yes. It's from the same guy, but the song is better. Everyone listen to it. Can I make it blow up like 6 years later? Let's see.
Why not?
Yeah, listen to it. Great song. My third recommendation. So, literally anything by Mariah Carey, because it was her anniversary. That's what she calls her birthdays yesterday. But if we're going for like a true recommendation, we can go with my favorite Mariah Carey song. It's My All. So yeah,
Aww.
That's my favorite Mariah Carey song. So that will be my recommendation.
Okay. We love to hear it.
What about you?
You love Mariah. I have one recommendation.
Okay.
And it is a documentary on Netflix called Audrey. It's about Audrey Hepburn. I love Audrey Hepburn. She's amazing. Yeah. Basically on her life and her career and all that. Go watch it. Very cute. Very, like, kind of sad as well. Kind of sad. What all she went through. So.
Any actress during that time has a sad life.
That's true.
Like
you're either a Marilyn Monroe or you're a
what's the name of that woman from The Wizard of Oz? Her life was tragic.
Oh yeah, Judy Garland.
Tragic life.
So tragic. Basically worked to death, and the only reason she was kept alive was drugs.
Yep. Drugs pretty much kept her alive, and that's weird.
Yeah. Yes, they worked her so hard that the only way to keep her awake was drugs.
Yeah.
She had kids, but, couldn't take care of them because drugs.
Yep.
So, yeah. Poor thing. She deserved better.
Well, we all do.
That's true.
But especially her.
Yeah. So that's it for me. Just one.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode. If you made it all the way through, God bless you.
Yes, thank you so much.
If you've seen this movie, I'm praying for you because I'm also mentally disturbed.
Yeah, we need like a support group after Killer Sofa.
Yeah, we can have a Zoom support group.
Yeah, for all these people who have seen Killer Sofa.
Yeah, like DM us. Like we'll talk about it. We'll get through this together.
Yeah, we will. And if you've gone this next step further and you've seen Killer Pinata, I'm sorry, we cannot help you. You were
I
too
thought
far gone.
I thought that movie sounded fun to watch, and then I watched this, and now that I know that they're part of the same universe or whatever, it's not gonna
Same universe?
happen.
I'm dead.
Well, either way, don't forget to follow us on our social media. We have Twitter and Instagram. Both of the handles are at SYTYI Podcast. You can send us your movie request, or you can just send us an email that says hi.
Yes. Also, if you worked on Killer Pinata, can you tell us? Not Killer Pinata, Killer Sofa. Can you tell us how you got the recliner to do all the things that it did?
Please send us some backstage videos, some photos. We'll post them on Instagram. We'll have a fun time. It'll help us cope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm sorry. This is like the ending, and I'm totally ruining it. But I looked up Killer Pinata because I was interested.
Okay.
It was filmed in 8 days.
Oh my god.
With a $5,000 budget. So
I could afford that. I could make a movie.
So yeah, we will take that information and just.
How do you film a movie in 8 days?
Yeah.
There are music videos that take that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Can I read you the description?
Why not?
A piñata begins to kill a group of friends one by one as revenge for the torture and savagery humanity has inflicted on his people.
Same. 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 Same.
Oh no.
What?
In 2018, there was like a kind of like a GoFundMe for Killer Pinata 2.
What? I mean, eventually we're going to have to watch Leprechaun 2 and Ginger Dead Man 2. So don't make me watch that movie.
No, I will not.
Then eventually I'll feel pressured to watch Killer Pinata 2.
Yeah, Nope. No, thank you.
Oh my gosh, what is this?
There's a Killer Pinata Collector's Blu-ray.
There's a Blu-ray of that movie?
Oh no.
Okay. I forgot to say their email because she distracted me with killer.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Pinatas and clowns and ginger dead men and leprechauns that ride bicycles. Our email is sytyipodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Don't forget to share us with your friends and your family.
Maybe not this episode.
Not this episode, please.
Or do,
Or do.
Ruin their day.
Ruin their day.
Ruin their day.
Yeah, maybe send this episode to someone you don't like.
Yeah. Say you've got a really great podcast episode for them to listen to.
Yeah.
Send this no context.
Yeah. And just be like,
do it.
You'll love this. I thought of you.
That's terrible. Okay.
And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, please.
Also, don't forget to wear your mask.
Yes. Wash it. Wash your hands.
Yes. And stay iconic.
Stay iconic, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.